student, welcome once again. We were discussing different topics of economics. So, once again, today in this lecture, I have brought a topic on very important but very basic of economics, that is taxation. So, in this video, we will see certain terms that are asked or that can be linked with some different other topics of economics, which are generally asked in the examination. Okay, so now in the screen you can see certain terms like tax base, tax rate, tax amount. Then we will look into the terms like what is impact of tax, what is incidence of tax, and direct and indirect tax. Okay, now let's see what are these. First is tax base. Now what is this tax base? Tax base means it is the amount on which tax is imposed, or in other words you can say it is the amount out of which you pay tax. It is the amount, say symbolically it's rupees, out of which, amount out of which we pay taxes. Okay, means the amount that you have, you are paying tax. From where you are paying your tax? Okay, that is your tax base. So in short we can say, so tax base is nothing but it is your income. Tax base is nothing but it is your income. In examination, if it comes, which of the following relates more with the meaning tax base? What is tax base? Tax base is nothing but your income, because whatever tax you pay your tax from your own income, whatever it is. Next comes the tax rate. What is this tax rate? Tax rate is a percentage. It is a percentage at which you pay tax. That means, say, for example, say your income is, say, rupees 1 lakh. Your income is 1 lakh. That means tax base is 1 lakh, because out of that 1 lakh, you will be paying certain amount of tax. Now, tax rate means ki out of this 1 lakh, how much percentage you are paying to the government in different types of taxes. Okay, it is a percentage uh, at which we are paying taxes. Okay, so for example, you have calculated your tax. You have seen that total you have paid 20,000 rupees as tax to the government, whether it is income tax, whether it is GST, whether it is VAT, or whatever it is. So you have paid 20,000 in total. So now if you say, you will say ki I have paid 20% of my income as tax. That means the tax rate here technically is 20%. Now what is this tax amount? Tax amount is this 20,000. In our example, this 20,000 is our tax amount. Okay, so tax amount, it is the actual amount. It is the actual amount we pay taxes to the government. We pay as taxes to the government. All right. So we have understood what is tax base, what is tax rate, and what is tax amount. Next, we will see what do we mean by impact of tax. Now, this impact of tax, it is generally referred to as the first point of taxation. It is generally referred as the first point of taxation. What does this mean? It means that government, government who has the sole authority to impose taxes, other than government, no other person or institution are eligible to impose or are authorized to impose tax on any person or any business. Only the government can impose tax. Now, whether you have earned money Whether you have sold goods, whether you have manufactured goods, you have traded, you have done your business, that means you are generating your income in any manner, government will impose tax on you. Okay, so you are the first point of taxation. All right, it is, you can say, the first person or the first point from where government is claiming its tax. That is known as impact of tax. Then comes the incidence of tax. Now, what does this mean? Incidence of tax means the tax burden. Can the tax burden be transferred or not? Sometimes you will see in certain taxes that government has claimed its tax from you. You have paid the tax to the government, but you cannot recover the amount. Okay, but in some cases you have paid the tax to the government on first instance, but in the subsequent supply chain or in subsequent steps of transactions, you have reclaimed your tax amount from any other person. So ultimately, the tax burden will be shifted upon that other person. So that, who is ultimately paying the tax to the government? Is it you or any other person? So the final point of taxation, it is the final point of taxation. It is the final point of taxation. All right. Now you see, here what I have given two examples. Example one, here where you cannot transfer tax burden. You cannot transfer your tax burden. That means the impact of tax is equal to the incidence of tax. Means government has claimed money from you, you have paid, but you cannot transfer the burden. That means you are the ultimate bearer of the tax. So impact of tax and incidence of tax. And in our second example, you can transfer the tax burden. You can transfer the tax burden. It is where the impact and incidents are not equal. Impact lies on some different person and incident lies on some different person or different point. All right. Now, now listen, such taxes whose impact of tax and incidence of tax are equal, are on the same point. Such taxes are known as direct taxes. And those whose impact of tax and incidence of tax are different point are known as indirect taxes. Say for example, if we say income tax is something that the government of India imposes on a person's income, but that person cannot transfer his tax burden to anyone. That is a direct tax. But in case of GST, goods and services tax, the producer is paying GST, but he is including price with the price of that product and making it the MRP, inclusive of all taxes. In case of GST, ultimately the final consumer will pay the tax. So incidence and impact are different. So GST is a indirect tax. All right. So I hope these are clear. So what we have studied here, it is the tax base, which means your income. That is the amount from where you are paying your tax. Next is the tax rate. It is the percentage of your income that you are paying tax to the government. Tax amount is what amount you have paid tax to the government. Then we have seen impact of tax, which is the first point of tax, incidence of tax as final point. And what is direct tax? It is the tax where incidence and impact are same, and indirect tax where impact and incidence are on different points. All right. So I will bring more such videos. So stay tuned and best of luck.